Sew Easy lesson, Diana and I are going to show you some tips for sewing curved seams. There are a few little tricks that make them much easier to sew, and we're going to use this block here that has a lot of them, so you get to do a lot of practice. And this is what it looks complete, and I'll show you what all the parts are, and now you can see that there's lots of opportunity to sew all these different curves. And what you always start with is, this is the background, the white or the off-white is the background, so you start with that and we're going to place that on top. That's our first little tip for sewing them, because then you can ease the extra in, because that's that big outer curve.
Put the crust on top of the pie.
The crust on top of the pie, that's a great way to, those little things really help.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's our crust, and here's our pie. Which kind would that be? Chocolate.
Yeah.
And our other little tip for you is what to match up. And patterns, some patterns will have a little mark so that you can match up your marks, and they're usually the center and then on the top and the bottom. But this one, we're just presuming that there isn't one on your pattern, so you'll know what to do. And so what you can do is, all we did was fold the pieces in half and press them, and so that gives you a handy dandy little mark. And so then all you do is match up those pieces, those
The center marks.
the center marks, right? And then pin. Now the other really neat little thing is just take a little teeny bite. Is that going to bother you? You're left-handed. Will you be able to pull that pin out?
Yep.
Okay.
Just fine.
You take a teeny little bite. Do you do this? Take the teeny
Yes.
weeny little bite? Because then what it'll do is when you sew, it'll pivot there, because you want it to give when you sew it. And now the next thing you do is you want to match your starting point, and what you want to make sure you do is line up these two edges, your pie crust and your pie, and then have a 1/4 inch hanging over so that you'll be able to sew. When you sew along here, you'll get your nice 1/4 inch. Now I'm making a big bite there because you don't want this to shift as you sew. You want that to stay right like it is. You're not looking for any give there.
You need some good stability.
Stability is a good word here. So that is another big one there. And so in between here, what you'll be doing, the sewing machine's actually going to help you somewhat in getting this to all match up. And now Diane will show you how that works on the sewing part. A lot of it is just finagling, playing with that top fabric to get everything to feed in properly.
And you may have to pull your presser foot up once in a while.
Oh yeah,
especially to
lifting the
get
presser
pins
foot
out.
so that because the presser foot's going to be pushing the fabric, and you might need it to eat up a little bit. And all the while, of course, you're keeping your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So there's lots to think about, but once you practice it, it gets to be pretty easy.
And go slow, take your time.
This is one of those things that speed is not an advantage. I always find that the first half is kind of easier than the second half. Do you find that?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I use a stiletto once in a while, something to help guide that fabric in there too.
Sometimes you can hold it tends to want to wave up, and you can hold the waves where you want them to sort of push that top fabric through, feed a little bit more in. This sewing machine also has a feature that's called pivot, and it will, when you stop, it will stop with the needle down, but also the presser foot will come up automatically, so you don't have to keep lifting it up with your hand or with the button, which is really, really nice. I find that's great for doing a lot of edge stitching or machine applique, and so it could be helpful in this.
Oops, just pushing the
You're
pin
almost
there.
at the end.
Yeah, I just want to straighten that out there a little.
There we go. Yay. Let's see how you did. Okay. That looks great. And what you're looking for is no tucks in here. You want it to be nice and smooth. And then what you'll do is you press it, and it kind of wants to just go the way it wants to go. So it'll tell you which way to press it, really. And then once you've done that, you can add on other pieces, like in this one, and you'll just keep working, doing it the same way. And as you can see, the seam allowances went the way they wanted to go. And it's all nice and neat. And was that difficult?
No. Just take your time, make sure you pin.
That's right, exactly. And let it ease on through.
That's right.
So now go and have fun sewing some curves.